everybody. I hope you're all here. Um, it's Lynda Plante again, and I'm just saying it's great to be able to. What now? I'm on, am I?
Yes.
It's very confusing to me because it's just a small screen, you see. Anyway, everybody, it's really nice to be able to join my Facebook live session because I really enjoy them. Bit of a panic always because I can't find anything. But I hope everyone is doing well in lockdown. I've been very, very busy writing. Um, it is actually rather like a kind of obsession, to actually stop me writing because my neck gets frozen, my hands get frozen because, as soon as I stop steaming along through writing, then comes the time when I've got to crush out a bit. And of course, then I'm suddenly thinking, wait a minute, I've spoken about the mobile phone and I didn't pick it up. I've got to go back, pick that mobile phone up. It's just a constant thing. It's the relief when it's over is amazing. But then, of course, the hard work begins because after you've steamrolled, 400 pages, I then got to do an edit, pick up where I've done something wrong or called somebody the wrong name. So I keep a chart with all the characters' names in so I don't forget them. But it's still, as I'm writing away at such a pace, I don't know how any other writers write. Because that's the odd thing, is that you really don't know because you are on your own. So sometimes I read about, writers being very, very studious and calm. I am always in a panic. Anyways, um, enough about my busy, busy time writing. I've got a new member in my family. He's a whippet. My son and his girlfriend have got Pluto the whippet. I've got a little photograph of him here on my mobile. I don't know. No, that's not going to show, is it? No, it won't show him. Can it? Does it show? No, no. Never mind. Pluto is a little bit like a kind of, I don't know, sort of like a little crocodile with very long legs and incredibly fast, with very sharp teeth. And one thing he becomes obsessed with is grabbing my knitting. Now, I am not a very good knitter. And after Pluto has attacked my knitting, I'm always minus a few stitches because for some extraordinary reason, when I'm knitting, it seems to gather more and more stitches. I lose one, then I seem to gain more. So everything I knit, and now I've got about this length, more my size length from here to here, in very bright colours that my son got off the internet for me. But I'm just still practicing, and suppose really, it's to try and keep me calm. However, it does have the opposite effect as I'm there going, dropped another stitch. Why have I got a hole in here? Anyway, let us get on. And Pluto is adorable, actually, but he does attack Max, my cockapoo. I mean, it's like a war zone. But hopefully, as soon as he grows up, he will be a little less violent. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to the exciting 2021 because it's the 30th anniversary of Prime Suspect. It's quite hard to believe for me, that I'm 30 years older from when I submitted the script to Granada. Um, it's like, sometimes it never ever goes away, Prime Suspect. Not only because it's probably the most stunningly brilliant title, thank you, Lord, that popped into my head. But every crime show you watch, they say, and the prime suspect is. We're hunting the prime suspect. But I've got lots of kind of funny stories about the sort of start of Prime Suspect because of the casting. And I was usually there in all the casting sessions, as best as I could be. And one time I was in the morning and I get a call from one of the executive producers, very excited, saying, Lynda, we've found the killer. We have found the character, George Marlowe, the serial killer. We've got him. And we're very excited. And I became very panic stricken because I didn't know him. I got him up on Facebook. I'm not going to say his name. So I got him up on Facebook. Now, I know actors. I mean, I was one for so many years myself. But when an actor puts his height at 5'7", you can usually guarantee he's about 5'4.5". So I said, please do not cast this actor. I'm going to get a taxi and I'm going to come in as fast as I can. It's imperative I'm there. And you could feel the sort of, really, gosh, she's a pain in the butt, this woman. Well, all right, Lynda, we'll wait. We'll wait. So I arrived at Golden Square, where the headquarters of Granada TV used to be, London. And I got there and I was really out of breath. And I said, okay, if the actor you have waiting to hear if he's got the role can pick me up and carry me over one arm the entire length of this corridor, then fine. Why not? There was a sort of hesitancy because I knew he was 5'7". No way was he going to carry me over his arm. The point was, my character had to be over 6 foot. He had to be, because that was the way he moved the bodies. He zipped them up in a very expensive plastic dry cleaning bag and placed them over his arm. He walked through the streets with them to dump them. And so that was then eventually how we got the wonderful actor John Bow to play the role. But that's the kind of things that you come across when you're, involved in casting your production. And because I might as well say, I am obsessive, but I see the people as I write them. And it's terribly important to me, those small things. There was even another small anecdote that showed you, if you were really paying attention, there were 2 surveillance officers that they were checking George Marlowe's movements, and they were painting a garage very close to where he lived in his flat. And one of them had an old T-shirt with Gold's Gym on it. And there they are painting away. One says, he's coming. Here he comes. He's coming straight for us. He's coming straight for us. And George Marlowe walked up to them. And they said, hey, he said, you work out? And this undercover police officer said, yes, I do. Yeah. He said, what do you weigh? What are your weights? And when he said his weights that he was working on, George Marlowe then told him what weights he was lifting. And it was just an indication this was a very, very strong man. He was very pleasant, very communicative. But these little clues in a script or in a novel are very, very important to me, because I know people pick them up. People like to say, I know who the killer is. I know, I got him. But often they're very wrong. But if you look at the clues that I drop and purposefully drop them, I think it makes, for me, the puzzle, and for the reader or the viewer, equally interested in the puzzle. And what my publishers have done, they've repackaged all the Tennyson backlist to mark the occasion, and those paperbacks will be out in March, along with the paperback of Blunt Force. So it's very exciting for me because, they've generated the novels again. And hopefully my fans out there will be interested enough to purchase them. Later this year, they will be publishing Unholy Murder, which is another Jane Tennyson novel. And this is Jane involved in a very dark case. I think it's wonderful because every time we have a Tennyson novel, I'm taking you through the years, her young years, bit by bit by bit. You see her growing. You see the way she's gaining rank. You see her hurt, her pain, her relationships. And so, I've got wonderful time to advance each novel of Jane Tennyson into the time where she becomes the character we saw in the original Prime Suspect series, DCI Jane Tennyson. And why the wonderful Helen Mirren was so brilliant was she was the right age. She wasn't a young 25-year-old that had got that rank, but she was still at a detective chief inspector being stepped on. And why she was wonderful in the role, Helen, was that you saw that positiveness and that toughness and the ability for her to remain calm under a lot of stress. You're stepping into dead man's shoes. And she said, I know. I've been waiting for them. And so this is what is wonderful for me, to be able to draw that character until by the time I get to her as Detective Chief Inspector, you know her. You know her background. You know everything about her. And later this year, I think I've just said that. I'm just going to turn a page. Sorry about that. Later, oh, that's hello, everybody. These are my notes from Nigel Stoneman. And he says, clip them together. Well, Nigel, I couldn't clip them together because when they came off my printer, there's one on the front and one on the back. So I shall now continue on page 2, which is really page 3. Oh, I've got a lovely thing. I'm going to share with you the first look of Judas Horse, which arrives to me just before Christmas. I've now got an instruction that says, hold up book. I'm so obedient. Here's Judas Horse. Terrific cover. I love my publishers, Bonnier Zap. They're fabulous. But Judas Horse is the next one out for Jack War, who's a character I've really grown to love. And, why do you call it Judas Horse, Lynda? I hear somebody say. If not, I'm going to tell you anyway. Judas Horse. I heard that expression in America. And I don't know how many people out there would say, well, I know what a Judas Horse is. I bet you don't. A Judas Horse are the wild Mustangs that run in America, all over parts of America. And they are wild Mustangs. But the trainers have discovered when they draw out the lead Mustang, usually he is the stallion. When they draw that stallion out, split it from the herd, they then corral it and train it. By the time he's ready to be released back to the herd, he becomes a Judas Horse because he leads the entire herd back to the corral. I mean, they're corralling them because they need to check medical reasons, they need to check pregnancies, they need to check if there's enough food for them. But it is a wonderful title. And as soon as I heard that, Judas Horse, it reminded me of a supergrass. And supergrasses, we don't hear quite so much about them because they were usually attached to gangland robbery, bank robbers. But a supergrass gives up to the police the information on his team members. He names names and he goes back into that gang and the police capture them. That is the nucleus and the storyline of Judas Horse, because it's not about wild Mustangs. It's me taking that kind of credit for saying, this is how you capture a gang. You have to have a Judas Horse in there. If you want to, you can already pre-order online and they'll arrive on publication day. I hope you like it. Just turning another page. Are we ready for the next one? Oh, now I'll just have a sip of my gin and tonic. You all know I'm always having a gin and tonic with you. I'm not drunk, by the way. I'm just always like this. So now I'm going to open up because I really love answering your questions. Um, and please send more through to Facebook on my website. Anyway, first question is, I'm reading Buried. Thinking back to the legend of Dolly Rawlins, I was wondering if you ever thought of doing Dolly and Harry's early life before Widows. This is from Debbie Felton. Debbie, I would really love to go back, maybe some point, and do the love story of Harry Rawlins and Dolly. But the reality is, at some point, you have to let characters go. And I've just let Dolly Rawlins go. And if you've read Buried, there's darkness in Buried, inherited from Harry Rawlins. He's there. I do hope you enjoy Buried, because the ghosts of Dolly Rawlins and Harry, her notoriously criminal husband, are lurking in the book. Okay, the next one is that will there be a TV series for Cold Heart? And if so, who would you like to play Lorraine? This is from Laurel Gorston. Nice name, that. Gorston. I've never heard that before. Well, reality is, quite a long time ago, when Lorraine Page first came out, because it's a trilogy. So you have Cold Shoulder, Cold Blood, Cold Heart. And they were making a pilot of it. And it's the American way, you know, they churn out pilots each year, and you just have to hope and pray that it gets picked up. And sadly, as brilliant as it was not picked up. So you think, and this is why I'm always encouraging people, don't give up. Don't ever take no over as finito. Because now, all these years later, after the first pilot of Cold Shoulder, we do have an American US company, and they are resurrecting and preparing to make a new series. So hopefully that will be going this year. I think it was halted by the pandemic, like everything else, like me. Anyway, yes. And it's with a production company in Los Angeles. So fingers crossed, everybody. And our next question is there a storyline that you would like to approach, but you decided not to do? If so, why not? Um, in Trial and Retribution, my TV series, where I used the split screen technique, I wrote about a missing child and a murdered child. The emotion writing that, and not only writing it, but moving it into production, was exceedingly upsetting. The little girl that was murdered, we had actually triplets, and we played games. I mean, they never realized that they were on a mortuary table or anything like that. But the effect it had on the actors of what had occurred, and it was based on a true crime. What was also based on a true incident was I talked to a mother of a murdered child, and she told me that they were hunting and searching. You know, everybody was out calling her name, calling her name. And she said the police were wonderful, and they were sitting with them. She had a liaison officer with her, waiting, waiting. And she looked out of the window, and she saw the female police officer who was heading the investigation stepping out of the patrol car, and she was accompanied by someone else. And she saw her put her hat under her arm and then begin to walk to the high-rise council estate. And that was the moment she knew it was over. And she was telling me this, and her husband said, when the knock came on the door for the policewoman to enter and tell her it's over, his wife let out a howl, a terrible, wretched howl like an animal. And Helen McCrory, who was playing the character of the mother in the TV series, I sat with her and I told her, you have one shot at it. Just go for a howl that has to come up from the pit of your stomach and out. And Helen, she's such a fine actress, nodded her head and said, all right, all right. When she did that cry, it chilled everyone. We never had to reshoot the scene. We never had to do a double take, any take. It was done. And I never forget that howl. And I never forget the mother I talked to. Every time I read of a child murder, it comes back to me, and I never, ever want to go there again. I think it's sometimes very cheap when I see a drama about a child murder, because you know the pain, you know, it's dreadful. But I don't, it's things that really, really touch my soul. You know, the murder of that beautiful little girl, April, in Wales. And then you see that killer's face in the newspaper, and you think, dear God, that was the last face this little sweetheart saw. And so that's where I don't want to go there anymore. I find it too emotionally draining for me. That's not to say that there are incredible writers writing about it, but not for me. And that was asked by Darren Campbell. So I hope, Darren, I've answered your question. And now another question coming in is, do you read books that aren't your own? And if so, who do you enjoy reading the most? That's Heather Simpson. Well, I'm going to hold up a book. Mr. Nigel Stoneman did not tell me to do this. I'm just going to do it to show you the Romanovs. This is the Romanov Royal Martyrs. It is the most astonishing revelation of what happened to the Romanov family and the murders of the entire Tsar, Tsarina, and his children. Wonderful pictures. And I am quite obsessed by the Romanovs. Their jewelry, Fabergé, it's just, very, very exciting to see the talent that Fabergé had and their magnificent diamonds. Tell you a rather sad story there. My best friend was Lynda Bellingham, actress. I adored her. She was somebody that always made me roar with laughter. And one time, not too long before she died, really, she said, well, I can't wait till I tell you what I've been cast as. I'm playing Tsarina Alexandria in a Russian movie of the Romanovs. And I said, that is fantastic. She said, this will get me a BAFTA, Lynda. I know a BAFTA is coming to me. And she went off to Moscow. I don't think they kind of warned her that she was going to be dubbed in Russian. But I never heard her talk about it again. Just, she went, made the film. And here I am churning through everything on YouTube about the Romanovs. And there is the film. And there is my beloved friend being brilliant, absolutely stunning. And I just didn't know who to call to say, watch. It was a BAFTA performance. But that's me, I love that lady so much. She used to make me laugh. I kept a telephone message from her for years, but I miss her dreadfully. But that's what I'm reading. It's a big book, fascinating history book. And And here's another question. Would you ever write a memoir or autobiography? That's from John Fraser. Well, Raymond Chandler was asked if he'd ever write his biography, and he said, who's ever interested in if I had a bicycle or not? And in many ways, I think because of the internet, because of Facebook, now, today, you're going to know so much about me. Do you really want to read a book about me? I don't think so. I like things the way they are. Um, I'm so old. I'd have to probably write a biography as thick as the Romanovs. Anyway, I'll go on. Well, that's oh, I've got a red line saying that's it really for today. But earlier this morning, I was recording my third Listening to the Dead podcast. It was fascinating, absolutely fascinating, and it was on ballistics. I do hope any writer out there will listen to my podcast because it is very informative. And in a way, it's me sharing with everyone the wonderful scientists that help me in every single aspect of my work. Not a book or a script goes out without their fingerprints all over it. And ballistics was really fascinating because the expert we had was the ballistic scientist on the Jill Dando murder. Very, very fascinating, calm, authoritative man. I do hope you find time to listening to the dead. And, you can listen online, says here. Well, you can listen to it online now. So, look, thank you for joining me. And I hope you enjoyed this session as much as I did. Well, I enjoyed, you can tell, because I keep on chattering on and ignoring what Mr. Stoneman tells me to do. But reality is, I thank you all from the bottom of my heart because you kept me going throughout all this lockdown by reading my books and keeping in touch with me. So I hope you all keep safe and keep well. And let's hope the vaccine works. God bless and goodbye.